Hello, on this video I'm gonna to show you how we can do service chaining using the UBIqube MSActivator service orchestrator. Let me log first in the UBIqube MSActivator. So I can select an existing customers, for example end-to-end, and I can access to the list of all the existing devices already managed by this customer. I can see a CPE FortiGate, a CSR, and an OpenStack. I can check all the different metrics that we can monitor. If I access to, for example, the FortiGate, I can manage the device configuration. If I select config, I access to the OBMF console. OBMF stands for Object-Based Management Framework. And here I will attach a set of objects to my device. I have one object to manage interface, one object to manage firewall policy, one the antivirus profile, and so on and so far. If I keep the example of the interface, for each object I will implement a set of methods: create, read, update, delete, and import. Typically, for the object interface, using the import method, I am able to list all the different interfaces available in my device. If I select a specific one, I can click on edit to update this interface. Typically, I can change the IP and I can define a mask. Oops, I made a mistake. It's dot, and I can click on save. For my object interface, I don't have a create method because it doesn't make sense to create a new interface. But if I select firewall policy, I have a create method to add a new firewall policy on which I can select an existing port. Same for the destination. I can set a source address, a destination address. I can set a service and I can save it. So easily I can modify my device configuration. Let me go back to the devices level. So as I said, I have today 3 devices managed by this customer. If I access to the topology, I will be able to see my 3 devices. During this demo, I will create automatically a new VNF on my OpenStack server to configure this VNF and of course to do the service chaining to to connect my VNF to my network. So today my CPE FortiGate and my CSR are already configured with a set of interfaces. I can see that they are connecting using this network, so that's the management network. My OpenStack is isolated, so I will create a new VNF and connect this VNF both to my CPE FortiGate, to my Cisco CSR, and I will update this physical device to connect each other. So for that, I have 2 options. So the first option is to do that manually. So if I select one more time a device, so if I select my OpenStack server, I can access to the OBMF console. And with using all the different objects, I'm able to deploy a new instance. So typically, I can select servers to deploy my new VNF. What I can do is to synchronize what I have on my screen and what is running on the device to be sure that what I have on my screen is really what is running on the device. For us, the OpenStack server is also a device. So as I said, yeah, I can consume all my different objects to create a new server, to allocate a specific flavor, maybe to create a new flavor. And at the end of the day, to get an IP, to create a new device using this IP, and then start to manage the configuration. So this is the first option, to do that manually. But we have also the orchestration layer. If I access to the services part, I'm able to automate this deployment. For that, I have a service ordering service already designed. On the left, I have all the services available for my account, but let's focus on the service ordering, and I have an option to deploy a new VNF, so to automate this deployment. So if I click on deploy new VNF, I will be able to deploy my new VNF on OpenStack. Before launching this VNF, let me select the OpenStack server to log up. It should be this account. Just to show you the network topology, to show you what we have right now. Okay, so we have 3 VNF already deployed, an Ubuntu, a PA VNF, and a OA, plus 2 routers. So I will deploy a new VNF. So for that, using the UBIqube MSActivator, I can select the OpenStack server on which I want to deploy this VNF. So this is my data center OpenStack. For this demo, I will not use the different, let's say, API from OpenStack, Neutron and so on and so forth. I will use the IT plugin. It is also supported in the MSActivator. So I just have to set a name to my stack name. So let's call it UBIqube. I can select for which customer I want to deploy my new VNF. So on this one is the customer number 12. What is the name of the VNF that I will create in my system? It's a V40gate, or I can of course change the name. So let's call it VNF 40gate. And then I have to select my 2 devices that I will connect to my VNF. So the first one is the CSR, and the second one is my CPE 40gate. And then I just have to click on Run Now. And the MSActivator will launch a set of tasks to automate this deployment. I can access to all the different tasks using the live console. So as I can see, the first step is deploy VNF. So I will launch the creation of a VNF using my IT template. The second step will be to get the VNF IP. The VNF IP will be automatically allocated by the OpenStack DHCP. So I will be able to get this IP to then create a device in my platform. So that's the first step. As soon as the device will be created in my platform, I will be able to, of course, provision the device, step number 4, and then to do day 2 configuration by using objects to update firewall policies or to push a new service. The next step is to connect this VNF to the existing CSR. I will do then the same with the 40gate. And the last step is to update the SNMP community. So if I go back on my OpenStack and I refresh it, or I don't need to refresh, it's auto refresh, I can see that a Fortinet VCP is now building. So this is the one that I launched using my stack. If I select orchestration stack, I should be able to see a UBIqube 1. Yeah, create in progress, and I have the same status on this side. So we have to wait a little bit to deploy the VNF. So this task is done. So if I go back on my OpenStack screen and select again, raise it, my network, my network topology, I should be able to see a new VNF, my FortiGate 1. Yeah, here it is, and the status is deployed. If I get the details instance, I see that the IP is 19.212. If I go back on my MSActivator, I see that I get the VNF IP, so it's done, and then all the tasks are done, so I can close it. If I go back on my devices tab, I should be able to see a new device. So if I scroll down, CPE 40gate, I can see VNF 40gate. The status is blue because it's a new one, and we are under the process to monitor it. If I scroll up and I select now topology, I should be able to see on the topology the new VNF. And this VNF should be connected both to my CSR and to my FortiGate. Topology is drawing up. Let me scroll down a little bit to see the new VNF FortiGate that is indeed connected first to my CSR and to my FortiGate. And I have also updated my CSR and FortiGate to create a new network. My 1030 is still my management network, and 10.0.0.0 is my management network. If I go back on the devices part, I can say tile to see it. If I scroll down, I can see my VNF FortiGate, but is no green, that I can select. And now I can do day 2 configuration using the config tab. The monitoring graphs will come later. So if I select config, I can see that, okay, today I can only manage the time zone. So I can first synchronize with device to get this information. I can set the time zone of my device. But of course, it's not enough. So let me add some objects to be able to manage some additional features. So for that, I can select attach files to add new objects to my device. I can click on the plus button and then I can browse to select some existing objects. Here I am accessing to the repository. So this is the central place where all my objects are stored. Of course, we can design new objects on the fly if I want to manage something that is not available in my library. So let's select, for example, interface and maybe some security features. So let's see what we have. Maybe under firewall policy, let's select firewall policy. And maybe we can also select a specific one for the service. Services, and to select service. And now I can save. If I go back to my config tab, I should be able now to see additional objects. I can see interface, firewall policy, and service objects. Let me synchronize with device to import what is running currently in my device. So if I select, for example, firewall policy, I can see a list of existing firewall policies. And same for the service object part. So now, as day 2 configuration, if I want to update my firewall policy, I can, for example, remove easily this one by clicking on the remove button. I can then edit let's say the AOL traffic, editing this one to block my traffic. So I'm calling the update method of my object, and let me add a last one. So for example, to port number 8 to port number 9 from all to all, and let's select a service. So let's select HTTPS and I want to accept my traffic. And now I can click on save. So easily I can modify my firewall configuration. I can click on apply configuration to push my change in the device. So this is how we can do service chaining using the MSActivator and how we can do day 2 configuration up to self-care. Thanks for watching.